Hello everybody, Valerie Greenwell here. Today I'm going to try a little something different. I've been watching a lot of these trends online about people turning old jeans into a maxi skirt. So today that's what I'm going to try to do. I have two really cute pair of Vera Wang jeans that I don't wear anymore, just because they're kind of a dated style. They're cute, but not really what I like to wear these days. But they both have similar elements with these embroidered designs on the legs. So what I'm going to try to do is take both of these pairs of jeans and turn it into one nice long skirt. So what I'm going to do first is pull out the seams in the center of both of these pairs of jeans all the way up, and then that's where I'm going to start. So let me get everything set up and I'll get going. Okay, so I have the first pair of jeans set up here on the table, and as you can see, these have like a closed seam. It's not like a rolled hem on the sides. What I'm going to do is turn these jeans inside out so that I can get to this seam, and I'm going to pull that whole seam all the way out, all the way up to the seat. Now, as you can see how I have it laid out, this is kind of how I want my skirt to be laid out. So this area in here is all of the area that I need to fill with my denim. And the second pair of jeans that I showed a minute ago might not be enough to fill all of this space. I don't know yet. I've never done this. And also, I wanted to show on these jeans are probably close to 20 years old, and they have a little tear in the seat here. I don't think that's going to matter, turning it into a skirt, because a lot of this falls right into the curve of the seat, of the crotch. So I'm thinking I'll probably just be able to trim a lot of that out when I go to add the other pair of pants. So let me get busy with that and we'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. I have the center seam all ripped out all the way around. And while I was at it, I went ahead and I pulled out the lower cuff seam. And while I was doing that, I had an idea, because this design sits a little lower on the leg, so it's like right at the knee or slightly above the knee, right there. And so I went ahead and I pulled the seam out of this because I'm thinking I might be able to add in a little piece of extra fabric to give it a little bit of a flare. So while I was looking around, I found this fabric, which I think is going to look really nice. And I can add that in here. And then because both of these pairs of pants that I'm using were kind of tight around the lower part of the leg. They're more like denim leggings, very, very tight around the ankles. And I don't want the skirt to fit very tight. I want it to be a little more flowy at the bottom. And I was thinking I might have to source another pair of jeans to put in here. But then I thought I had this really cute fabric that I picked up at a quilt show somewhere that's been sitting around here for years. And I thought I would maybe add this in. So I could see this working really well. We'll do like a triangular piece that would fit in here and then come together here. And then if I need the same thing over, in the center part of the skirt or even the other side, I'll be able to do that too. And I've got plenty of this to work with, so I'm not worried about that. I love the fun colors. And I think it lends itself very nicely to denim and fabric. This is going to be kind of a cute little boho kind of design. So Okay, so I have my second pair of jeans on the table, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and open this seam up here. I'm not sure if I'm going to use the seam ripper or just cut this whole seam out. I don't need it, and it's a lot of work to use the seam ripper to save a half an inch of fabric, and I don't really need that. So I think what I'm going to do is just take the scissors and cut straight up this seam. To be able to open it up. And I'm gonna do this much like I did the other one. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it up all the way around the crotch, and then back down the other side. And then I'll take the time to use the seam ripper to open up this part here, because I want to be able to salvage this part here, I think. So that's my plan. Let me get busy doing that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. This is the second pair of jeans, and I went ahead and I cut that seam out all the way up to the crotch, and I cut it out on both sides, and just removed the whole bulky part of the seam, so it's gone. And while I had this spread out and I was looking at it, this design that I was hoping to salvage comes all the way up, almost to the pocket. There's only maybe about 3.5 inches between the end of the design and the pocket, and then of course we've got the back pocket here. So this one is going to be a little bit more of a challenge, but this right here, this design, is what I wanted to put in the denim skirt. So what I'm going to do is I am going to plan on using this design, and this part, I think, is going to end up being at the bottom of the quilt. I haven't really decided yet, but I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and unstitch this pocket and take the pocket completely off, and then that way it'll give me this whole section of wide fabric that I can use to create the wider area along the bottom of the skirt, because I want this to be like a very flowy kind of skirt. I don't want it to be a tight fitting skirt, and I want to be able to wear like maybe a cute pair of cowboy boots under it or something like that. So I want it to have a little bit of flow. So I am going to go ahead and pull this pocket off of this side, and there is no design on the other side, so I don't have to worry about that. So let me get busy taking this pocket off, and I'll be back. Well, I'll tell you, I must have really underestimated the durability of reinforced pockets. I was able to get this side off mostly with just a little bit of fraying on the denim, but this side I finally gave up and just clipped it out because the stitching was so tight, and I just could not get these little tiny zigzags to break loose. So if I decide I want to reuse this pocket for something else, I'll have to address this issue later. But for now, that gives me everything that I need to be able to work with on this part of the denim. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the pocket on the other side, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I got the other pocket removed, and I went ahead and I separated the jeans from the waistband and everything else, and I just cut right along the front. This is really kind of a rough cut. There's nothing clean about it, really. This right here is where the pocket was, and if you flip it over, you'll see the pocket was kind of sewn into that inseam just a little bit. So I went ahead and I clipped that off, but I didn't want to disturb this part of the stitching because I don't know if I'll need that in part of my design yet. So this is a pretty good sized piece of fabric. Of course, you can see where the pocket was and this discoloration. This doesn't really bother me too much because if I end up using very much of this and I want to cover it up, what I'll do is I'll use a piece of this other fabric that I have here, if I want to cover that at all. So I'm not too worried about it being darker. We'll just wait and see. So let me get my good pair of pants spread out on the table, and then we'll take a look and see how all of this is going to kind of work together. So give me a minute and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have everything pressed and all my seams are laying nice and flat, or not seams, but the edge of the fabric is laying nice and flat. And this right here was the area where the seat had been ripped out and the fabric was frayed. So I went ahead and I clipped out all of that fray. And now you can see, if you can see this right here is the side that I should have cut up, but since this part was damaged, I'm going to go ahead and cut this all the way up to about where that curve in the seat starts, which is going to be right about maybe slightly above where these pockets are. So that's what I'm going to work with. I'm going to go ahead and pull out some stitches and get this open all the way up to here, and that'll give me plenty of room to work with this area. Okay, so I went ahead and I snipped this up to just below the pocket. I don't know, I still might need to go up just a little bit more, but since the seam, if these pants had not been ripped, I would have tore the seam out on the other side in order to separate it. But since they were damaged, I went ahead and cut on the opposite side because I wanted to leave this part of the seam intact. And then what I did was I took this neat little pair of thread snippers and I snipped off all of the fray right along the edge of that seam in order to keep all of that intact. And if we look at this now, this is going to be the back of the skirt, and you can see that now it looks like we have a natural lay for this, and I've got the legs spread out a little bit, and so this area in here, this is what we're going to fill with this fabric. And I haven't decided yet. I've got to get everything laid out to see where I'm going to add in some of that fun and funky fabric on the edge of this. So let me get everything laid out and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have everything laid out here again, so let me show you what we've got here. So this is the pant legs that I cut out from the second pair of jeans. This is the good pair of jeans that I'm sewing to, and this you can see is the seam from these pants, and I have it going all the way up, so where it's going to come together is about right here, and I want this seam to kind of line up with that, so that's what I'll be shooting for, because I want this to look like it belongs. So I might have to do a little bit of adjusting there, and I can see this is where that pocket was, so I might have to do a little bit of finagling around that area. But you can see how this is all going to go together very nice. This was the area where I had to cut out the damaged denim. And so that's going to go underneath. It's not going to show it all. And I'm going to leave this seat seam in just like this. It's going to fold over just like you see it. I'll probably use a flat-felled foot to sew down this bulky area. And get that so it'll lay nice and flat. So the first part that I need to do for this is get everything nice and centered so I can make sure I have it where I need it. So let me get everything laid out. Again, get the seam centered, and then I'll be back with some pins. We're going to start pinning this together and see how it goes. Okay, so I went through and I got everything marked with a nice clean chalk line. Now what I'm going to do is probably take my rotary cutter and I'm going to cut about a 1/2 inch on the outside of this chop line. That way I can get rid of the rest of the fabric that I'm not going to use. And then once I get that done, we'll put that on top of the pant leg here and sew it down and then flip it over so we can do the same thing on the other side. So let me get this trimmed and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my wedge all trimmed and nice and cleaned up. And so now what I want to do is, let me come around this way. What I want to do is take this wedge and pin it to this side over here and stitch it down. So to do that, what I'm going to do is kind of pull that up just a little bit like that. I'm going to flip it over so that the right sides are together. And I'm going to pin this down so that these raw edges here are all pinned together. And then I'm going to stitch that down with probably, I don't know, probably a 1/2 inch seam allowance, I guess. So let me get that pinned and I'll be back. Okay, so you can see I got my seam sewn. Used maybe a little less than a 1/2 inch here. Looks like I got a little close here, so I might go in and reinforce that stitching. But this looks pretty good. So I'm going to turn it back around and get it all laid out so that I can stitch the second leg. So let me get that set up and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have the first side sewn, and I have it pressed. I had the seams pressed open, and now I have everything flipped right side out again, so that I can get the second leg in place. Now this time I'm going to top stitch this down, because what I want is I want this crotch seam to lay nice and flat. So you can see I have this cut open to just above the bottom of the pocket there, so that I can pull that over and it'll lay nice and flat right across that fabric. So I'm going to pin all down the edge of this, and then you can see here I have this edge hand turned right here. So I'm going to use pins to go along and pin all of this down, all the way down to the bottom. And then I'm going to top stitch this down, starting here, and I'll come down that crotch seam out like this, and then I will stitch all down this edge. And I haven't decided yet, but I think I might use a decorative stitch. I don't know. I'm going to stitch it down with a straight stitch first and check the fitting, and then if I like it, I'll probably come back in and do some kind of a decorative edge stitch or something, just to give it a little bit of flair. So let me get everything pinned and get it over to the sewing machine, and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. We've completed the back side. Now we're ready to start the front. So this is my second pant leg that I was working with. And you can see it's got this pretty embroidery that runs right down the seam, very similar to what I have on the legs of this pair of pants. And I kind of want this seam right here, I want this seam to kind of follow in a straight line all the way up, as if it was going to attach right underneath the zipper. So I have that placed in position right where I want it, and I have once again turned the edge of this denim. This time I'm going to just do the top stitch on this because I really liked the look of that on the back side. So I'm going to get my pins and I'm going to pin this from here all the way down, following this line all the way down, just like that. And then I will take it to my machine and again stitch it very, very close to this edge. And then once that's stitched, you can see how this is going to go together. So this is going to be the look right here. And I really think this is adorable. Now, I still have this little open area on this side, and I think I'm going to put a little splash of color on that side with my extra fabric. I'm still thinking about that, but we'll see. So let me get this pinned and stitched, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I have the first side stitched, and this is the side that will lay underneath the crotch flap. So I have that stitched down with a nice little top stitch, and that's just a simple little straight stitch. Again, I used that silvery gray thread to kind of blend with that top fabric, and now what I'm going to do is play with this a little bit so that I can get this to lay nice and flat the way that I want it to. I think what I want, and you can see I have this cut, I cut that slit all the way up to just below the zipper, and I'll do the same thing on this side that I did on the rear, which is I'm going to stitch right down this inside line right here. I'm going to stitch down this line here until I know that the placement is perfect, and then I'll come back in and I will top stitch right along that edge on that one. But what I want is I want this to lay nice and flat. I want everything to line up so we're good. Very pretty. This looks very nice right there in the center, and this leg is looking really good. Now, of course, you can see I've got this big dark spot for the pocket here. I have a plan for that. We'll talk about that when after I get all of this stitched. But so anyway, I'm going to get this pinned just like I did the last one, and then I'm going to stitch just a little bit right on top of this all the way down. So let me get this pinned and stitched, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I have stitched my last stitch, or my last side here. I got this stitched all the way up, and now we are ready to, I'm ready to address this open side here. I really want to add, I have this fun and funky fabric. I want to add a little wedge of this, just one right here on this side. I think it's going to be cute. So I'm going to get a piece of that cut, and then I'll be back. And then also, I wanted to show you what I've done here. I just went ahead and used my scissors to cut off a nice clean line right along the bottom. We'll talk about what to do with the bottom here in just a little bit. I've got to trim that one up, but I don't want to do that until I do this little side seam here. But overall, it's looking really cute. I love the embroidery on there. It really adds a neat little element. So I'm excited. Okay, so let me go get my other piece of fabric cut, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have cut off a nice long piece of this it's a batik fabric that's got this fun and funky design in it, and I like the wave, the swirl, and then the black elements along the top. So I think this is going to look really nice. You know, and of course this is like 42 inches long, so that's way longer than what I need. But what I'm going to do, let's see here, yeah, it's 12 inches wide, if I didn't mention. Okay, so what I'm going to do is turn the skirt inside out, and then I'm going to pin this on one side here. I'm going to pin it down this one side and stitch it in, and then we'll do the other side. So let me get it flipped inside out and see what the best layout for this is going to be. Okay, so I have the skirt turned inside out, I have my extra fabric laid out here. This is a selvage edge of batik, and I kind of want to keep it intact. So I'm just going to leave it just like this. I'm going to roll that. And I want this design to go straight up this pleat like this. So we're going to mark this with the tailor's chalk like you see right here. And now I'm going to use my ruler and I'm going to cut off about a half inch from that, and I'm just going to cut that straight down that line, and then I'll be able to pin that to the first side. So let me get that trimmed and I'll be right back. Okay, so I cut my last wedge out of my accent fabric, and now you should be able to see why I wanted to cut it like I did, because it's got these cute little flowers in here like this, and I wanted those to run right down the center of this extra fabric, the wedge. So anyway, now all I have to do is get everything lined up and pin it into place. I am going to do this with right sides together, so and it's going to be a little difficult because of the way it comes together here, but I'll figure it out, make it work. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to line this up just like that. I'm going to pin it into place. I'll pin this into place and then I'll be ready to stitch it down. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I have the first side of my contrast fabric, my accent fabric, stitched in, and now I'm ready to stitch the other one. I really like the way this is coming together here. It just looks really, really cute with that. Adds a really cute little accent flare of some color. So now I'm going to flip all this inside out again and pin this down so that I can stitch this this last section together. Okay, I'm back and I have my accent fabric all stitched in. It's going to make this cute little flare on the side of the skirt. And now we're getting close to being finished, but of course I have this little pocket problem that I needed to address. And so what I did was I took a little scrap that was left over from my accent fabric, and I'm going to stitch it right here. And I've got the ends folded under. I don't know if you can see that. I've got the ends folded under, and I'm just going to stitch it right along the top here, just like that. And I'm going to use like a decorative stitch, like a blanket stitch. And I've got a second one cut to use for the pocket on the back side. And you can see I did kind of fussy cut these a little bit so that I could get these cute little flower accents on there. So I'm going to get this pinned into place and get it stitched. I'll probably, I don't know if I'll use a teal thread or if I'll use that blue or purple. I think maybe I want it to stand out, so I think I might go with this teal. We'll see. Anyway, so I'm going to get that stitched down and then I'll be right back. Okay, we are almost finished. I have my little patches sewn on to cover where the dark pockets were, and I had a little boo-hoo here and accidentally cut through the fabric, so I just added a piece of denim to the back side of that and did a little decorative stitch over it to cover right down the center of where that was. Now the only thing left to do is to cover, or not cover, but to finish the edge of this. And I don't want to actually finish the edge. What I'm going to do is trim off these little extra points, and see this line of stitching that I've added along this. I'm going to add a line of stitching all the way around the bottom of this, and then I'm going to take my little tiny snips and I'm going to snip all of this so that once it washes, all of that bottom edge is going to ravel and fray, but with the stitches in there, it's not going to fray up the skirt any, and it's going to be a really cute little look. But I want to trim up some of these edges just a little bit to kind of make them a little straighter. See, that one isn't very straight, so I'm going to clean that up a little bit, and add my stitching around the bottom, and then we'll be done. But overall, so far I think it's really cute. I've tried it on, it fits well. I might want to take another one or two of these elements and maybe stitch them on someplace else on the quilt, or on the skirt, and maybe even on the back side too. But look at this. Isn't that adorable? I love it. It's so cute. And this right here, this should not ravel at all because this is the selvage edge, but I might go ahead and reinforce that and just run a little row of stitching around that when I'm doing this edge here. So anyway, I'm going to get that done, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the final result. Everything is all finished. I've got my pretty little flare fabric on the side. I did some applique with some of the accent fabrics on the side, and I did another one on the back too. And I added a little pocket up here just because I thought it might be kind of cute, maybe like a little cell phone pocket or something. I'm not really thrilled with the way these old worn out pockets just sort of slug around, so I might end up stitching those closed. And if I end up doing that, that pocket is going to be super handy. So let me flip it over and I'll show you what the back side looks like. Okay, so here's the back side, and I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. Again, I've got a little element stitched, applique stitched to the top there, and I used a little blanket stitch, and I think it turned out really cute. Yeah, so along the bottom edge here, you can see I added a nice line of stitching that just goes all the way around the bottom of the skirt. Now, when this goes through the wash, that bottom edge is going to ravel and fray, but it's not going to fray up into the skirt itself, so it should just give it a really cute little fluffy sort of edge. I think it's going to be adorable. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the way that it turned out. Let me know what you think.